Hello and good day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And I am covering this a lot more than I do most subjects, but I think it's very important. And thank you guys for watching. And don't forget, hit that like button. Boop boop. Click that like button. Now, I'm going to show you a Jesse Waters segment, and he's going to talk about the activist judges who released this Decarlos Brown guy and the background of the magistrate and some of her in North Carolina, they don't have to pass a bar exam to be a magistrate of strange occurrence. I did not know this, but let me play you this Jesse Waters video, and then also I'm going to play you an audio of DeCarlos talking to his sister, who he beat up, by the way. This is a recent call while he's incarcerated right now, and he actually claims that he's got some kind of substance that's in his body that is making him do this stuff. And then we're going to talk about that. So here you go, and get ready for this.
Teresa Stokes, a Harris donor who doesn't even have a law degree, but just made a career criminal and a schizophrenic who beat his own sister when he was out on parole. Pinky promised that he'd behave. Miss Stokes wasn't elected. She was nominated by the clerk. In Mecklenburg County, the sitting clerk is Alyssa Chin Gary. On her LinkedIn page, she calls herself a clerk and a DEI consultant and a racial equity organizer. And her life mission? Reparations.
We are here to honor them, to lift their names, and to continue the intergenerational work that we are required to do to eliminate structural racism.
Ms. Stokes was nominated by Judge Carla Archie. Judge Archie is friends with Eric Holder, Obama's wingman. And Judge Archie isn't just any judge. In 2019, she was the DEI Champion of the Year. Is this starting to make sense? Did a woman die because of DEI? Just a couple months ago, a guy shot 5 people on New Year's, and Judge Archie sentenced him to 1.5 years for shooting 5 people, 1.5 years. This is a DEI court, and they have blood on their hands. And if the people in robes are on the same side as the bad guys, that's suicide. Are you okay with the country committing judicial suicide? I'm not. DEI died when Kamala lost. It's illegal. And releasing felons with dozens of arrests for social justice is a crime against the country. They've set up these dangerous DEI courts in cities nationwide, catching and releasing criminals to prey on innocent people. These courts need to be systematically dismantled, and that needs to happen immediately.
So this is the recording that was obtained from the jail that this DeCarlos dude is being held at, and this is current. This is new. And he's talking to his sister, and he makes what would seem like a pretty outlandish claim. And now I'm not giving cadence to this perpetrator, but I want to talk about something after we hear this audio.
So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material using my body to stab the lady.
He says the material in his body caused him to stab that lady. There's a pause there.
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they got to investigate the material in my body exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they got to investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and you know
Two different places.
They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
That's it ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
It almost sounded like he was going to say whoever was working the algorithm, but then he says material. And I want to just talk about that for just 1 second. So the reason why I want to even bring this up, and it sounds just like I say some X-Files stuff, is because it does sound like some X-Files stuff. I don't know if the dude's seen this episode or not. I doubt it, because the episode. By the way, I can give you the name of it if you want to look this up. The episode of X-Files was called SR 819. Is season 6 is in the season 6 episodes. Skinner is injected with nanobots that build up in his bloodstream and threaten to unalive this guy. And the nanobots are controlled by Alex Krycek, which is an ongoing character that seems to play both sides of the deep state and outside forces. Anyhow, who uses them to force Skinner to spy on Mulder and Scully and control him and all kind of stuff. But it's episode 6, season 6, episode 9, and it's called SR 819. And I know that like I say, you'll hear me talk a lot about television shows and things that I've seen and stuff that I'm seeing now, and I'm not trying to cross those barriers to make things to try to go on a stretch to tie things that are fictional. I'm not going to say that this guy's got stuff in his body that makes him doing stuff, but the fact that he even says that is something that we need to look into. Do you know that whenever Timothy McVeigh did the Oklahoma City thing, when he was interviewed while he was in prison by certain people, it stated that he had a sharp pain in his right rear cheek because the government had implanted some kind of device in him. You can look that up. That's actual transcript. And, was this guy abducted by, outside government forces and then injected with stuff against his will? If this is even the case, I would say no. He willingly took this stuff. What do you think's in the Fauci jabs? I mean, I'm going out there on a limb, guys, but I'm not giving cadence to what happened because you're responsible for your own actions. But, I have noticed a serious uptick in mental health condition, as far as it being good or bad, is a lot worse. And I see people that have gotten these things that just don't seem to act like they used to. And there's a lot of, specularations, which is not a word, being, brought to the table as to why they act that way. Well, I'm going through menopause or such and such and such. But in SR 819, the X-Files episode, just to give you a little background of it, it was a bioweapon that was going to be used, and there was going to be a congressional hearing to its ethnicness, if it was ethical. And it was going to be reviewed by that Skinner dude. He was one of the people who was going to give a congressional testimony on whether or not this new biological weapon the United States had been working on was going to be ethical to use, because what they were going to do is unwittingly inject world leaders with this stuff, and it could be remotely controlled with a radio frequency, and the nanobots could build up in your bloodstream and cause blood clots and be sort of like a hostage situation. Like, if you don't adhere to our policies, then we'll turn the frequency up, and then you'll be unalived, and it'll be really hard to detect what happened. They'll just call it a blood clot or organ failure. And, that's how the show's premise is. But I'm telling you guys, in my opinion, from what I've seen, the uptick in vehicle accidents, some of the weird things we see when it comes to people's ability to accept the fact that they're going to do bodily harm to themselves because of gender problems, the way that people react to situations now, and there's something going on larger than just human inability to discern right from wrong. And it makes you wonder, is this guy, because this guy actually back recently when he had gotten out of prison this last time, he was living with his mom, that Decarlos dude, and his mom kicked him out because she got really weirded out by the guy because he kept on saying things like, "Hey, Mom, I feel like I'm not in my body anymore. I feel like I'm out of control of myself. Myself has left myself, and I'm just a shell of what I used to be." Things like that. And a lot of these people lined up and got these things squirted in them with God knows what's in them. And there's been awful large speculations about certain material in them that could be affected by radio frequency. 5G. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying this is what I know for sure, but we've been getting some really interesting admissions from people, like the guy that was involved with Tim Waltz and that whole assassination thing, and he says, I was trained by an outside dark military that works for that entity, and I was forced to do a lot of this stuff because of my things like that. So I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that dude said some really crazy stuff, and I'm not saying that he deserves a gimme. I'm just saying WTF, and that makes my my spidey sense go up. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment sections. I'm interested in this. Take it easy.